What is up and how's it going, my ferns? Welcome back to my channel to follow my game dev journey. Last week I ran through a premise of my game Entangled and got started on bootlegging a Celeste-like movement system. Thank you for watching if you've seen it already. If you haven't, feel free to check it out. But without further ado, let's dig into things. Today's goal is to get rid of the floaty behavior we saw in last week's video. As I see it, the floatiness is caused by two major factors. The first factor is how fast the player reaches their full jump height. Right now it's moving at a constant speed, but jumping is actually explosive. The second factor is how fast the player falls back down. This is really important in games. Falling in most platformers is usually slower than jumping. My guess as to why is simply because it gives the player more control over their jump actions. So to fix the jump implementation from the last episode, we're going to make the initial jump more explosive, and then we're also going to increase the effect of gravity on the player so that they fall faster. Speaking of falling, thousands of my children are taking root right now, and I could really use your support. No, Jimmy went through 1,000, not again! No, oh god! After losing more of my seedlings to lawn care services, I needed to do some seed reorganization to forget. Much better. Now, I don't know about you, but isn't that bean looking a little thick? Alright, you caught me, get off my back, I'm a Danny Dev fan, jeez. So I opened my player movement script and, oh my god, gross, what is this? No tooltips? Unnecessary logic? No commenting?
You're a donut! You're so stupid! You're stupid!
Alright, now we can get started. My first change to the player script is adding a new variable under the jump parameters called time to max velocity. This variable is going to determine the time it takes for the player to reach the maximum jump height. Now we can go back to the jump method and change the simple addition we were doing to this formula. The max jump velocity times the time.fixed_delta time divided by the time that it takes to get to max jump velocity. We multiply the fixed delta time into this equation so that the updated velocity is relative to the time since the last physics update, which is what movement is based out of. Now the rate we reach max jump velocity depends on the time variable. Nice! Now, some of you might be saying, Bim! If you wanted explosive movement, why didn't you just add force to the rigid body 2D using force mode impulse? Excellent point, my fern! It is because I wanted to keep the style consistent with my movement method. Does this justify your pain and suffering? Of course. And with all of that out of the way, we're finally ready to start testing. So first I'm going to test this out with a small time variable. It looks like we've retained our flexible jump height, and yeah, I think it's working. So now I'm going to set it to 1 second and see if that works, and yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think this is working exactly as intended. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I would expect a bean to gravity to the ground a little faster if it had a Thiqqy dump truck like that. Let's turn gravity up just a little more and try that again. So it looks like 3.5 times gravity scaling works well for jumping right now. Awesome. Now that the jump's so fancy, I think it's time that we show the move function some love. As of right now, we have the ability to control how long it will take the player to speed up and slow down. What I think I want is to split up those controls further into ground and aerial variables. That way I can reduce or increase the player's ability to change their speed while in the air. And what the heck, let's add a separate top speed as well, why not? So just as before, we will need to add new variables for our new controls. I'm going to call the new variables top speed in air, time to top speed in air, and time to 0 speed in air. I'm looking at the movement method, and I think it would be a shame if I jumbled it up with some more logic or had duplicated code. I mean, just look how clean it is. In an effort to confuse people and keep my code squeaky fresh, I will turn all the logic into ternary operators. So ternaries are basically shorthand if-else statements that selects an output. To determine what time we should be selecting, we can ask, are we on the ground? If yes, then we select the ternary operation asking, are we moving or stopping? This operation outputs the ground time variables. Otherwise, we're not on the ground, and we will ask the aerial ternary operation the same question, and this will output the air time variables. This is what the ground time selection logic looks like in C#. This is the air time selection logic, and finally, this is the time selection logic. This uses the previous two statements as variables to select. The speed selection is much simpler, but here's a variable just to keep things consistent. I'm pretty confident this is going to work straight out the gate, so I've got my fingers crossed. The first test will be setting the variables to the same values for both ground and air and seeing if it's not broken. looks like things aren't broken. So now let's try increasing the air top speed just a little bit. Looks to be working as intended. Okay, one last test. I'm going to make it take longer to slow down the air since the player doesn't have any friction there. Let go of the movement on the ground, and then let go in the air. And you'll see that there's actually a big difference in how long it takes for them to come to a stop. Alright, I'm actually pretty happy with how things have turned out this update. The changes weren't the largest, but I think they did a lot for the field. It's hard for me to judge on my own though, so leave feedback in the comments on what you think about the changes. You know what? If this video gets 100 likes, I'll make a scene that is a proper platformer so that people can test out the build so far and give actual feedback. For the next video, I think we can get a good start on the long-forgotten Entanglement Manager class that we made so long ago. If you like this video, consider subscribing for more, share it with your game dev friends, and I'll see you all next week. Oh god. No, please not again. No! Oh god! Oh no!